Well, thanks. So now I want to kind of get a little bit more into some little bit nitty gritty and maybe some practical stuff. We're going to kind of bounce back and forth here. So I appreciate you kind of this free rolling kind of approach here. But um, what what do you think is broken about the way the world sees fitness? So what I'm trying to do is kind of compare contrast. Like what's the broken approach, and what would be more of a God honoring approach to fitness, or how we think about the reason for fitness?
So in my mind, and honestly, I mean, I can even get caught up in this. It's almost like that self glorification that that get our priorities backwards. I want to look really good, but we can really get caught up in that, or the world can get caught up in that. The world does get caught up in that. We can get caught up in that. So it's like and we talk about one of our core values as a team is humility, and what does that like look like practically speaking within the walls as we're like connecting with our members, when we're engaging one another. And for us, that's thinking less about ourselves and more about how I can lift Coach Michael up and how we can lift our members up. So it's not so much about us, it's about meeting others where they're at, etc. So it's easy to get caught up in our own personal fitness, our own personal performance. We talk about this all the time. Getting outside of ourselves, showing interest in others when it's not going well for us, because it can be so easy to get caught up in yourself. Again, in my mind, another benefit for the whole relational community side of this, it becomes less about us. And I need those kind of guardrails in my life, because I can make everything about me. So when I'm in a setting like this, almost by default, it has to be less about me, right? I don't know if I answered that question, but do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like kind of to echo what you said, to be even more precise. Like I think in my own life, it's like it's easy for pride, right?
Yeah,
when fitness comes into play. I mean, I think it's pride, just to simplify it, is, I mean, we all can easily fall into that. I think that's something that is a struggle, no matter whether it's related to fitness or not. But even though it's a good thing, to his point, I think for me particularly, it's like if I have a bad day in the gym, I have to remind myself and go back to the why, right? So it's like it's easy to put all the thing on me. Oh, I didn't like how that went or whatever, and it's easy to lose sight and completely dwell on that. When, like you said, I think in the realm of what I've tried to work on is, hey, I got to make it about somebody else, right? So I think just continuing to be so self-absorbed, right? And that all stems back to pride, I think. So I think that's maybe how I would answer that question.
So it seems like one way the world is kind of broken, in the sense that it often becomes about me, about moi, and less outward focused, is what really Christ calls us to, about, focusing. I mean, we have to take care of ourselves, but also have to think about how we're serving others too.
You really have to be careful when it comes to fitness, because it can become so internally focused, like to the extent where I mean, I get uncomfortable when I watch people like take these provocative selfies and showing their body, and it's like, oh man, we're just missing the point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, as I think about like what is fitness for, that's always a good place to start, especially as God, like what's our body for, or what's fitness for? I think about, if God wants to use us, we have to just practically be as healthy as we can if we want to be able to contribute, in the things He's called me to do. If I want to be able to position myself to where I can be alert, because I'm staying